So, thank you for joining me today for the ILEARN Checkpoint webinar. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can use Get More Math within your classroom completely for free. One way is through a 30-day trial account. So, this is available for every single teacher that has access to a computer. You can use Get More Math for 30 days. We give you free access to our software. And then we also have a much deeper opportunity to dive into the software through our campus pilot partnership.
Okay.
This is a full year of access to Get More Math. It includes unlimited access for all of the teachers and all of the students on your campus. There is no charge whatsoever. It gives you access until July 31st of 2026. The requirements for participating in that are that an administrator on your campus or at your district level gives approval for that pilot participation, and all of the teachers that choose to participate would need to complete three 30-minute trainings. The trainings can be in a live Zoom session just like this, or they can be by watching a recorded video. And completion of each training gives you additional access. So that's why we say required, right? You get initial 30 days, you complete a training, you get more, you complete a training, you get more. And once you've done all three, that's when we give you access until the end of July of 2026.
Okay.
So I'm going to share with you what the software is all about. And if you want more information about that at the end, we can certainly talk about how to take next steps. And so the reason you signed up for this, I'm guessing, is because you want to know a little bit more about our checkpoint skill collections. And so I'm going to
Yes.
show you that in the application. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the software, particularly why it was created, as well as how it works from both a student and a teacher perspective. Um, oh, I need to change the screen before I do that. First thing that we're going to talk about is the iLearn checkpoint collections. And so I'm going to change my screen here for a second. Another opportunity for technology to go swimmingly well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least let's just pretend you're visiting the redwoods for a little while. Okay, so this is a live teacher application. You'll notice that I have a classes tab, a work tab, and then a reports tab. The work tab is where you have access to our skill bank. And our skill bank includes skills from second grade all the way up through Algebra 2. As a teacher, you have access to everything. You are not limited to your own grade level. You can see that we have our skills organized in multiple different ways. So right now I'm at a sixth grade level. These are the topics that sixth grade covers. Within each one of these folders, we have different categories, and within each one of those folders, we have the skills related to that particular topic. From topics, this is how our skills are organized, but from Indiana, we have access to both the standards. So these are the skills associated to each standard. And then we also have this specific iLearn practice. And so for each checkpoint at each grade level, you will have both assignments that are created for you that align directly to that. Look at your smile. I love that smile.
Yeah.
So the nice part about that is that we have collected the skills for you, right? These are the ones that are below proficiency related to that particular standard. These are the ones that are getting closer, right?
Mm.
You, as the teacher, get to decide which ones are actually appropriate for your students at the level that they are at. And so we've done the organization. You have the autonomy to build the assignments the way that they make sense for your students. And then
Okay.
we also have this folder that includes all of the skills so that if you wanted to build a summative assessment for your students, you certainly could. Again, this is a list of the skills. You get to decide what you include in your
Okay.
assignments and assessments. Now that iLearn practice is available starting in grade 3 and ending in grade 8. So we have folders at every single grade level for all three of the checkpoints.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Can you do that by student or is it grade level, individualized at all?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that when we do the training for the pilot, we for sure will teach you how to individualize and differentiate for your students. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to hop back into the live session and explain a little bit about why Get More Math was created, and then tell you a little bit about how it works. And so, the why, Josh Britton was a math teacher in his classroom, and he wanted to improve long-term retention. The bottom line is that on most days, his first year, he taught a lesson, he gave his kids practice on the new stuff, and he did that over and over and over again. And then at the end of the unit, he gave them a test. Most of the time he reviewed, but almost all of these days were teach something new, practice the new stuff, and then at the end, take a test. And he did that for an entire year, unit by unit, right? Like this is sort of the pattern that most math teachers follow. And then
Yes.
at the end of the year, we give this huge test. And we're like, hey guys, we want you to remember everything. And we know you did great on your unit tests. So you're going to do great on this end of the year cumulative assessment, right? Um, the problem with that, Josh found it, I found it, my students remembered what I taught them at the end of the year. They
Exactly.
remembered May and April and March, and the farther that I went back, the fuzzier that content was for my students. And to be honest with you, most of my students felt more like this walking
Mm,
into that end of the year assessment. Um,
right.
Josh summarizes this. At the end of that year, he realized, well, darn it, what worked for me short term didn't necessarily get me and my kids where I wanted to them to be by the end of the year. And as a solid teacher, he wanted to improve upon that. And so for 17 years, Josh built software that would
Mm,
provide the opportunity to improve long-term retention. The
right.
why behind Get More Math is I want my students to remember what they've learned. And
Mm,
the way that we do that in our software is by improving this pattern of teach new, practice new into teach new, practice new, but then also practice old. And if you can do that consistently, and Get More Math can help you do that, you can make all of your assignments include an expectation of new material and prior content. Think about how much stronger your students' success is going to be on those checkpoints if they
right.
are constantly revisiting the skills that you've previously assigned. And that is what our software does. The way
Right.
this works, because I know you're thinking, well, maybe you are. I think you're thinking, how do you do that in the same amount of time, right? Like it's all about time.
Time.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about time. And actually, I was a teacher that used Get More Math for 5 of my 13 years of teaching, and I loved it. You can do this in the same amount of time. Um, Really important to recognize that you are still presenting the lesson. Get More Math is not going to teach for you. We're completely reliant on the teacher doing the content piece. So we don't have any recorded videos or any lessons as part of our software. The piece where we start to partner with you is in building these assignments. And the assignments have the potential to include the new material as well as spiral review. And the spiral review is going to take students back through only the skills that you previously assigned. It's not a pre-created spiral review that says all sixth grade students should know this. It is going to say, this is what you've previously assigned, and it's going to be individualized for each student.
Nice.
Yeah. So you go back to that skill bank, right? So now I'm showing you the teacher view again. I'm in my work tab. I take a look at all of the skills, and I'm going to start to build my own assignments. And then those assignments will be mine to keep for as long as I use Get More Math. So the
Okay.
first year you create them all, the next into the future, you just have to reassign them to your new students year after year. So let's take a look at, let's say you went into Indiana and you were going to cover the content in Unit 1. You've taught lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you've built assignments that directly aligned with the content in each one of those lessons. Today, you are going to teach least common multiple. And so we want to build an assignment that has least common multiple practice within it. So you're going to click, you're going to find least common multiple in the skill bank, and you're going to choose least common multiple. Your only job to complete this assignment creation is to decide the number of problems your students will practice on least common multiple and the number of practice problems your students will get on spiral review. So you're choosing the new content, but Get More Math is choosing those spiral review points from your previous assignments.
Okay.
You don't have to choose the content for the spiral review. The
Okay.
program is doing that for you. So let's take a look at what that looks like from a student's perspective. The student will see the least common multiple practice first, right? This assignment of 11 problems is going to include those new least common multiple problems as well as then skills from your previous lessons. Every assignment has the capability to include both of those things. And the lift on the teacher is still just choosing that new content because the new content then automatically becomes part of the spiral review. So this
Mm,
least common multiple skill that you're seeing at the top here is going to become part of the spiral review in the future.
nice.
So now we're in unit 1. Let's fast forward to March. Don't you wish you could actually do that? That's the gas pedal.
Yeah.
By the time March gets here, your student's spiral review is going to be much larger. Let me
Mhm.
explain to you what those colors mean because we use those colors to differentiate each student's experience. The colors represent each student's ability in each of those skill areas. When you first assign a skill, the color of the square will be white, and that just means we don't know how you're going to do on this. After a student makes at least 3 attempts, we will change the color of their square to either red or yellow to indicate their level of ability. And so imagine that you don't have to do exit tickets anymore. Right
Right.
here from your screen, you know exactly who's struggling and who's doing well. So that's a daily check in. But over time, we are hoping that students are going to revisit those things and they're going to develop proficiency because proficiency comes when you have had time to forget and then you revisit it. And so
Okay.
these green and black squares are basically longer periods of time that your students have been successful in a particular skill area. So the students are now intrinsically motivated because they want to reach for that black square with a gold star on it. But
Mhm.
this information is also being used behind the scenes to prioritize their practice. So this is a points-based system. You'll see in the upper left-hand corner, a student earns points by completing skills that have dollar signs on them.
Okay.
So they can only click on the skills that have dollar signs on them, and Get More Math is going to place dollar signs on those skill squares with 2 goals in mind. Number 1, we want students to learn things and build proficiency. But we also want students to remember things, and it takes time to forget to remember, right? And so
Right.
the dollar signs are going to be placed most often in the white, red, and yellow skill areas, but also occasionally in these areas that a student has already reached proficiency in an effort to maintain that level of ability.
Makes sense.
Fantastic. Good.
Mhm.
So, all of that information is going to give each one of your students an individualized spiral review experience, but it's also then translated into the teacher application so you can use it to inform your instruction. The
Okay.
teacher's view on day 1 is going to show you your entire class.
Nice.
So,
Mm.
from spiral review, you're seeing that least common multiple skill and you're seeing the color of the skill square for each of the students in your class
Mm.
with one click. Now, this is my favorite screen from Get More Math because you can also revisit it in the future. 45 days later, 10 days later, 100 days later, you can click on that least common multiple skill, and this screen is going to give you a current level of ability for all
Nice.
of your students. Notice all of these kids have now reached proficiency because they've been practicing it over and over and over again. You don't need to worry about these kids. They're doing great. But these other students might need to revisit this content. And this is why this screen was so amazing for me as a teacher. It was because I didn't have to come up with the examples to work with those students. Get More Math did that for me. From
Nice.
this screen, I click on problem and it's going to give me as many examples as I want. I click on this little arrow, it's going to give me another one. I get another one. I get another one. So I
Mm.
don't have to come up with the examples. I just get to use them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was my favorite feature in Get More Math. My second favorite feature was the assessments piece. The assessments piece within Get More Math allows you the capability to build up to cumulative assessments. So your unit 1 assessment will just be unit 1, but maybe your unit 2 includes unit 1 and unit 2. And that makes the end of the year not quite so intimidating for your students. The
Mhm.
way that that works within our platform is that from Spiral Review, you can see a running history of every single skill you have assigned all year. From this screen directly, you can toggle those skills by the date that they were assigned. So if you're building a unit assessment, you can simply go and click on the skills that you most recently assigned to your students, click on actions, and build a unit exam. But
Hmm.
the bonus is that because this is a running history of all your skills, you can also go farther back into the year and include prior content and include that on the exam as well.
'Kay.
This screen is also extremely helpful because it's giving you proficiency levels in all of those skills. So you
Nice.
can use that to guide your decisions when you're making your exams. Click, click, click. You make your first exam. I've made one, it's 20 problems, I've got some new content, and I've got some old content. I'm gonna publish this, my students are gonna take it, and from my teacher screen, I can view their
Mm.
results. So, time
Mm.
saver number 1, Get More Math is gonna automatically grade the assessment for you, right? So that's huge.
Mhm.
Secondly, it is gonna give you some detail. You're gonna be able to see the exact answers your students gave. You're also gonna have a little bit of control in how much credit you give them for the answers that they have given.
Mhm.
All of that's amazing. My favorite part is what happens when you click on Save Grade. When you click on Save Grade, Get More Math is automatically going to build a corrections assignment
Mm.
for each student. This is going to make your students go back and fix the mistakes they made. Do you remember Carol missed 5 questions? She's going to get those 5 questions and she's going to get additional practice on those skills. So new
Nice.
problems, but same skill.
Mhm.
This is created automatically and it is specific for every single student.
That's wonderful.
Not
Wow.
only does it give you the corrections assignment, we then also give you the opportunity to follow up with a retake. And the retake, again, automatically created. Every single kid is different. It only includes the skills they missed. It is also automatically graded for you. And I'll tell you from a teacher's perspective, when I was doing this before using Get More Math, I was creating the
Right.
retakes and I was creating the answer keys for all of those. um,
Right.
and a lot of times I didn't see any improvement because my students hadn't really prepared for it. The nice
Mm.
part about this, because of that in between step of the corrections assignment, you're going to see growth. I'm going to
That's
tell you because of the accountability and asking students to practice for the retake, you are going to see growth. Yep. And that is a happier end result for the student, but also for you, right? I used to be very sad when I would grade my retakes. And this was a much better improvement for both me and them. So
excellent.
That is a summary of the program, as well as the skill collections that we have available for specifically Indiana. If you would like to move forward with the pilot, I just want to give you the two sort of steps that you need to take. One of them, we do need an administrator to approve that partnership, and their job would be to send me an email that says we want a pilot. At that point, I would send them a spreadsheet that they could submit a staff roster for any of the teachers that wanted to participate, and they would need to decide whether the training would be live Zoom sessions or recorded videos. They
Okay.
can be done as groups or as individuals. And then I would also want to meet with that administrator virtually for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, 3 times throughout the pilot year for evaluation and feedback.
Okay.
From the teacher's standpoint, they would be required to extend their access to complete these 3 trainings, right? So they get that initial 30 days, and then as they complete the trainings, their access becomes extended.
Okay.
So to support your efforts in having those conversations, you will receive this recording. You're going to get this recording so that you can share that with your administrator. You can take the email that you get, literally forward it right on to your administrator. You can CC me on that if you feel comfortable and just let them know this demo recording is literally what we talked about. And then there will also be a link in there if you want to create that 30-day trial account for yourself or for any of your colleagues. You're welcome to do that as well.
Okay.
So that's sort of like the overview. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for joining me. I am going to stop the recording at this point, and see if you have any questions.